Hey guys, it's Tony back with another video for you, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Corsair Carbide 400R. Now, for those of you that watch all of my videos, you would have noticed that this case was used in the Corsair H100 review that I did, well, before this one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to link the two videos together, so you'll be able to click the link for the 400 for the H100 should you want to watch it in this one, and vice versa in the other one. But anyways, this one come after because I wanted to test the H100 first. Anyways, yeah, the 400R is probably what I would say is the lowest end case that Corsair are doing at the moment. Not that I know that there's going to be any cheaper ones coming, but it's kind of their bottom of the range model, because all the other ones go up from this. Obviously you've got the 500R, which will be coming, then you've got the 600T, the 650D, the 7 and the 8. So they've got a fairly easy way of following the case numbers at the moment, but this is the cheapest one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop you off the tripod pretty much straight away now, bring you in, have a good look at this, and yeah, we'll just give it the TTL run over. But one thing I will say is normally I use 1155 kit and a Noctua NHD14. This one's still got my heatsink test kit in it, which is a Gigabyte UD3RV2 650, and obviously we're running the H100 in here as well, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to leave it in there, was because the carbide is kind of made with it in mind. But I'm going to shush, get the camera off the tripod and bring you in for a look. Right then, normally I would start at the front, but with this type one, this time I'm going to start at the back, because if you have a look, the case internals are black, but the outside has got like this. It's actually like a, I'm trying to get the camera to show it, but it's just looking grey on the camera, but it's kind of satin metallic silver, for want of a better term, and it's basically, with the grey that you can see, if you look really carefully, you can see that there's like silver sparkles in it. Now, before, I've got to admit, I've never really liked this. I'm pretty sure this is the same colour they used on the 600T, and it really didn't float my boat. But there's something about it on this case does work, and it's really nice that you've still got the black internals, but the quality of the powder coat is actually really good. There's no like real blemishes in it. Believe me, I have gone round and looked everywhere on this to try and find any blemishes, but they're just not there. But while we're at the top, as you can see, you've got 220mm fan mounts and also 240mm fan mounts. Now, perfect gaps for the H100, but you could technically get a water cooling radiator up here, but there's not a massive amount of room inside, as I will show you. Technically is a possibility, not a massive amount of room though. But if you're not using the H100, you can stick a couple of 120s up here, or if you wish, you can get the bigger 140mm fans up here as well. This kind of raised panel is just to give you extra room inside for the H100 anyway. Also, while we're around the back, I'll show you the 4 graphics card grommets, arc at me, water cooling grommets. They are quite big ones as well. You can easily get a 1/2-inch hose through there. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PCI slots, which basically means you've got your normal motherboard slots is 7, you've got an extra one. Power supply you can have either way round. Obviously I always have mine with the fan at the top. And the exhaust fan is 120, but again you can fit a 140mm fan in there if you like. Now I'll move round to the side just quickly. I've not got anything fitted in there at the moment, but you can put 2 120s or 2 140s in the side panel for extra airflow. Because of the gaps or the spacings, you can't fit the H100 in there at all. I'm assuming that these grommets can actually be moved as well to go for the 140s if you wanted to pull them out. But you've also got this kind of like raised area down the side, so it gives you the room to put the fans in without it actually taking up too much room inside the case. This is good, this extra raised bit, because it means, for argument's sake, if you were using a Noctua NHD14 which would come out to near enough the outside of the case, because of this raised area on the side, which is as near as damn it the perfect size for a 120mm fan or 140mm fan, you wouldn't get any problems with the heatsink. So this raised area is a good thing to kind of bring attention to if you're going to be using larger air-based heat sinks. It's the bulge area is mirrored on the back panel as well, which obviously gives you more places to hide your cables if you're not that good, or not that good at hiding them, or if you've got a non-modular power supply. Hey, look at the magic! I didn't move it when you were on the camera. What is going on? Anyway, looking at the front of the case, as we can see here, you've got the power switch. That's your hard drive activity light. There's also a reset switch here, and this button is so you can turn the LEDs and the fans off, but I'll show you that in a bit. Both the USB ports are USB 3, and they actually have the internal header inside that will connect to the USB 3 directly on your motherboard. But something that I did like, I've just put it down on the side here, if you've not got like the opposite version of that, so you can plug it into your motherboard, then they do send you the cable so that you can use the internal header on a normal motherboard USB 2 slot. I really like the inclusion of this. I think it's a very good idea, and they definitely deserve props for that. But yes, two USB 3s which can be fitted to USB 2 on board if you want. You've also got your microphone and your headphone ports, and also a firewire in the front as well. Just on the top, just up here actually, there is a handle which would be good for carrying. I suppose they're thinking about just in case you want to take it to a LAN. And this top is pretty solid as well. I was quite literally pulling it up and down earlier on, quite literally trying to get it to break, and it didn't, so there is no worry there. In the front there is 1, 2, 3, 4 optical base slots, and there's 2 more 120mm fans in the front. But if you have a look, you can see that you've got the round cutouts for the fans here, but then you've still got the plastic. Now I'm going to pull the front off and show you what I mean. Because if I point this, actually if I put it up on the wall, there we go, you can see that there's the round cutouts, but then there's plastic around the outside. I don't know whether it's just me, but that kind of makes it look, from the front, makes it look cheap to me. I think they should have had it all cut out just so that we could have just seen the fans themselves. I mean, it's dust filtered anyway. There is a kind of very basic, but there is a dust filter there. I think they should have even maybe just had like one strip coming across. The round holes, yeah, I don't know, it just instantly when I saw it I was like, ooh, I don't like that. Now that may be a very personal thing and it may not really apply to you at all, but I thought I'd bring it up. Now you can see the 220mm fans in the front, and they do light up white, so they're clear blades with white LEDs, and I actually do like them, to be perfectly honest with you. I do like, because it's kind of neutral. But what I'm going to do just quickly now, I need to come back around the back again, I'll just show you something. The thumb screws, I'll just show you with this one, they don't actually come out of the case. That's it. They unscrew and then they stay in there, so you can't lose them. Now, for some people that might be annoying, you might not like it, but I'm always losing thumb screws. Obviously I do take quite a few of them out. Now you may really like that. I will say though that you do need to be careful when screwing them in, because you can knacker the threads in the case very easy with these, because you can't really pay attention to what you're doing. So yeah, just be a bit careful. Anyway, I'm going to get the case in position again. I'm going to take this side panel off. Okay then, so our first look with the side off. That is, as I say, my heatsink test rig. So it's slightly different to normal. I'd normally have an 1155 and a big like Noctua in there to be able to show. The Noctuas will fit perfectly fine because you've got a 120mm fan in the back, and the side panel fans are raised away from the side of the case. So yeah, Noctua will fit in there even if you do put side panel fans in. normally I'd have a larger graphics card in here to be able to show you the kind of like size restraints. But what I'm going to do is literally, I've just done it there with you on the camera. Now that is a 6990, pretty much, or is, you know what I mean, I've not found a bigger card on the market, and you can still get the 6990, and I mean that's not even clipped in properly, and you've still got a good 20mm room at the end. So you could be talking 25mm room by the time that this is actually fitted properly. So as far as graphics cards are concerned, you're really not going to be getting any problems. Another thing with graphics cards to consider is with that extra slot, not only does that allow you, yeah, you could end up putting cables and stuff out, but that also allows you, if you have a graphics card that hangs off the bottom of the motherboard. Now this little clip here, again, a lot of people would ignore, but this goes straight into the back. This is a great way of bringing up extra cables if you do put them out the back of your case, but also it's a nice way to kind of hide stuff that goes on the bottom, because that's a fair big gap. You could get a USB cable much tidier up into that one, and a fan cable as well, should you want to. Now, like I said, this is just a very small thing. It's just a cutout in the tray. But I actually, from a building point of view, I actually quite like that little cutout. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's just something that I picked up that I would have used in the past. Anyway, hard drives. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total hard drives. Yeah, the hard drive dock isn't removable either. And pretty much, if you want to take the fans out, it's a front panel off, and they're actually attached pretty much direct to the hard drive bay. We already know about opticals. Now, if I show you something quickly, with the H100 in there, you can see that the fans do overhang the motherboard, only slightly, but you can see that they're pretty much right over the RAM clips. Now, this is something that I do want to stress. With the board that I'm using, which is the UD3R V2, you can see that there's really not a massive amount of room for the H100 on the MOSFET heatsink at the top, or the RAM slots. So one thing I will say is, if you've got a big top MOSFET heatsink, you're going to have to go careful. I mean, that one there is about 25mm high. Any bigger than that, you're going to struggle to get a H100 in there, should you wish. The RAM slots, they're in there. The H100 isn't touching them at all, but they are very, very close. When I fitted the H100, I took the RAM out, fitted it, and then I pushed the RAM back in, because obviously when you push the RAM in, it clicks and locks. So it locks itself back up fine, but it is very close. To the point where it's so close, you can tell that Corsair have made the case with the H100 in mind. Now the radiator on the H100 is actually only 25mm thick. So if you were to be thinking to yourself, I want to buy a aftermarket kit, such as the XSPC RS240 kit, the XSPC radiator is 30mm thick. So with that in mind, you would be immensely close to the top of this RAM, if not hitting it. I think you may just get away with it, but I've obviously not got it in there to have a look. But like I said, it would be immensely close. So that's one of the reasons why I say this case has very much been designed for the H100. Might not necessarily be a good choice if you're thinking about going full, you know, with a dedicated water cooler, which is a big shame really, because if Corsair had made this little lump maybe 5 or 10mm bigger, then it would have been amazing. If they'd made it 25mm bigger, you could have put push-pull fans on the H100 anyway, which would have been a great thing, because a lot of people say this really does benefit from an extra set of fans, even though it would make it monstrously more expensive. But if they had have made this lump that bigger, which, let's face it, once it's there, if it comes up to that much, it's not really going to make a lot of difference. It could have just been almost in line with this. But if they had have made that bigger, then it would have meant that all of you custom water coolers could have comfortably have got the RS rad in there. as it is now, it would be very tight. Now sadly, because of all the variables with motherboards, you know, RAMs, actual spacing on the board and heat sinks, I'm not going to be able to, you know, answer questions with people going, will this fit, will that fit? The only thing I can say, guys, is you're going to have to get it in there and have a go if that's the way you want to go. If you do get problems, then the only option you've really got would be to try and move the radiator over a bit, but that would mean re-drilling this. Probably not going to be the best idea, but you could, I'm not saying you should, but your only other option would be to have yourself a custom grill made to go over the top of this, which you could have made really easily, let's face it, which would sit the radiator over ever so slightly. The idea would be that you'd have the radiator sat right over this side, and then if you move it over kind of 5mm, you're probably going to get away with it hitting the RAM so much. But again, do you know what I mean? I'm talking from a modder's perspective. Short of me getting rads in there and starting doing spacings and stuff, I can't say exactly. So if you're looking to buy this for an RS240, it's not going to be straightforward, is all I'm going to say. Basically, we'll leave it there because I've been going on about it for ages. All the cable grommets, I've actually got grommets, but one thing I will say is these are really good grommets. I mean, look, normally with these, sometimes you can push cables through and the grommets come straight off. The edges on these are really thick rubber, and you can see I'm just actually struggling to be able to pull it out. And basically that means they stay put. If you build cases a lot, if you've had a few, you'll know the cases that I'm on about. When you push them through, you're always having to tuck your grommets back through and stuff. Well, these are absolutely solid, and that's a very good point needing to be brought up. Got one at the bottom and then 3 up the side, so you've got plenty of ways through for all your cables. There is a cutout right in the very top corner for your 8-pin as well, so yeah, there's plenty cable options. Now if you have a look here, you can see that there's some more mounts, and basically what this is so that you can screw a fan in should you wish. Now there's no bottom fan mount, more's the pity, but that to me looks like a 120mm mount there should you want to use it. And in fact, now I've said it, I'm just going to get a 120mm fan out of my cupboard and test it. And I know it's the wrong way around, I'm just using it as a visual representation, but you can get a 120mm fan on there. These ones, it's got another set here which I thought was going to be another fan to put below, but there's nowhere to screw the lower one in unless you just have it kind of resting there, but that's not a 140 spacing, they're too close together. But you can get another 120 on there should you really want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the back panel off quickly and show you its backside, and yeah, we'll have a look at that now. Right then, I've got the case on its side, and I've not tried to make the back of the case tidy at all, because I used to spend ages doing the cables, and then people used to say, oh, it's really hard, I can't do it the way you have. So I just kind of do it normal now, unless I'm doing like one of the special project builds anyway. But at the back there is a good 20mm of gap, but you'll see that there's a raised section here, so essentially you get about 8mm there, 5 to 8mm here, but a lot more room down by the power supply. But that raised section is only where the motherboard is. All of the kind of this area is all that deeper section, so you can get all your cables there. It's only really up here, and let's face it, behind the motherboard tray all you really actually need is your 8-pin and maybe some fan cables if you're dangling them down inside. So the rest of the area, that's pretty good. The only thing I was a bit disappointed with, and let's face it, you can see there's one there, there's another one there, one at the bottom. These are the clips that I use a lot to be able to clip all my cables up, and in some cases they're everywhere. They really are all over the place. On this, those clips are actually pretty limited. It's a bit disappointing in that respect, because they don't cost anything. And once your motherboard's in, it doesn't matter how many of them you've really got. I do think there should have been a few more of them on here. But otherwise, from the back, there's loads of room. We've not really got any worries. I'll show you the cables. That's the USB 3 internal header. And then you've got the ones for your Firewire, your audio for the front, and they're all black and look smart. All the fans that come with it are all black braided and look smart as well. Same as the ones for the front. And obviously the front fans have got the additional wires for the power switch as well. But really, from the back, it's pretty average. It looks, there's enough room because of this big deep recess. You can get all your cables around that bit. So there really is, apart from there's not very many clips, there's not really anything spectacular to rant about or to moan about. But this is all pretty much done now, so I think we should be getting on with the conclusion. Right then guys, on to conclusion for the 400R, and I've just noticed that you can see the edge of my lights, but never mind. Something straight away I really like is the fact that it does come with a internal USB 3 to motherboard kind of style USB 2. Really like that little cable. I know a lot of places selling these or the opposite way around and stuff for a lot of money, so to get it with the case, that's a good bonus. All the cables and fittings and stuff that you get with this are all black as well, so it all goes nice. The kind of, I don't want to say satin, but it's like a semi-gloss, real dark grey metallic finish on the case. I've not liked on other cases, but on this it kind of works. And I can't really explain why, but the first time I saw it, I saw the grey and I was like, oh no! And then I kind of thinking, well, no, it's not actually that bad on this, it is okay. The bit I said about with the front, the only way I can kind of explain it is, rather than kind of seeing the fans, you just have circles and you see the plastic. And that just reminds me of older kind of style, stroke designed, cheaper cases. And for me, I think I would have rather have had a larger, just mesh there. Very similar to like what you would have had with your 600T and the 650D. I think they could have done that there, rather than those two circles. It just doesn't look right, to me, anyway. Definitely would have much preferred that to have been there, but from a modder's perspective, you can whip the dust filtering out, take the mesh out real easy, just Dremel the circles out, give them a bit of a sand, then a bit of a Scotch-Brite round to clean up the edges, put the mesh back in, put the dust filter back in, bosh, done, plain panel. But I think it would have been a lot easier if they'd made it like that anyway. The side panel mesh, I've got to admit, when it comes to mesh like that, all I see is a way for dust to get in. They're not dust filtered on the side as well, and that's just a direct way for just not plain old air to get dragged in there. So it would have been maybe an idea to have had an option to have just had like a screw-in panel that you could have blanked these off with, for example. Or maybe even some dust filtering if people did want to use fans. You could have incorporated that in quite easily. And we've got to think that this is going to be around the kind of £90–95 mark with most retailers. So it kind of falls in. I know Corsair products do generally carry a higher price tag, but £90–95 is more expensive than, for argument's sake, the R3, which is completely sounded and you've got all the covers and stuff. But I don't want to keep going on about the R3, so I'll leave that, and I'll just say I just think for this price, some dust filters or some blanks to have blanked this off. Let's face it, you could have put it on the outside and had some like really nice Allen bolts on it to have covered it up. But again, that could be something for you modders out there, because it would be really easy to get a bit of cheap carbon fibre off of eBay, or even a bit of really thin aluminium and then some carbon fibre vinyl to cover this up, and you can bolt it on yourself. Nice easy mod there that you, do you know what I mean, would make your case a little bit more unique. Now the roof, blatantly made for the H100, because you can get other fans in there, lovely, if you just want to put fans in there, but it's so close to your motherboard that if you want to fit a skinny radiator in there, like a normal radiator, say for example the XSPC RS240, it's going to be very, very tight on this. I know you can get some skinnier radiators, but those radiators are just a waste of time. the RS240 is probably the smallest, skinniest rad I would consider as being worth putting in the CPU loop on its own. Obviously you can fit big chunky radiators in the back because you've got things like the H80, so that'll all go in the back fine, but this top bit, where it's just a lump in the top of the case, if they've made it a bit bigger, not only could you have got a normal water cooling radiator in there like the RS240, but, and this is one of the good buts as well because it's something they've not really thought about, is you could have then put push-pull on the H100. And people ask me why I didn't do push-pull on the H100 review. That was A, because Corsair don't send it with those fans, so I tested it out how it comes out of the box, but also because I couldn't fit the extra set of fans in with this RAM. It just doesn't happen. There is no room for me to get another 25 mils worth of stuff in, and I would have had to have put the fans on top of the case. And let's face it, that would have looked completely ridiculous, and you're not going to want to do that in your own rig. So that's one of the things I see as being a bit of a flaw on this. If they just made that top section a bit bigger, just another fan's worth, then it would have made it better for the H100, but also have given the consumers the ability to have been able to use a normal water cooling loop in there as well. So I've given it a bit of a kind of slapped wrist for that, to be perfectly honest with you. The cable routing and stuff like that is brilliant, as you'd expect with Corsair cases. Even though around the back of the motherboard tray the room is limited, there's such a big recess all the way around the tray that you're really never going to have a problem with that. And that's where the grommets are as well, as in the deep recessed area. The grommets themselves have really big, thick rubber kind of, I want to say teeth, but like trails, or however you're going to put it, tracks. So that when they go in, they don't keep popping out. Because several other brands, when you put anything, you can put your finger through one of the grommets and that's it, they're off, they're out. With these are very solid, well footed. I was just ramming the cables through, so I mean, whole 24 pin cable, pop straight through the grommet, didn't come out, just lovely, the way it should be really. Performance with, because obviously I've used this, when the H100 is turned right down low, you can't hear anything else really inside the case. Everything's pretty well damped. The cable, the fans in the front, they don't move a tremendous amount of air, but they're not doing anything. They're just obviously with a lot of fans, the more air they push, obviously the noisier they are. And this is actually quite quiet. If you disconnect the H100, you really can't pick up any other noise. With my overclock, the board on this, it just runs prime all the time. I'd say my motherboard on this, and it is the board, it's not the power supply, the board on this actually makes more noise than the actual case does. So it could be set up to be a really quiet rig. For example, say if you had like a 140 in the back, in the top, 140 in the back, maybe covered these up so you weren't picking up too much noise from the inside, could be a really good case. Now, as I said, the price, I should really have spoken about the award to start off with before I started rambling. But it's a very good case for the price. Let's just say it, I'm going to give it a silver award now, I'll explain why. The design of it's very subtle, it's very understated. I can see this being a case that a lot of OEM builders, or like the retailer builds, are going to use for their a lot of their systems, because it's not intrusive, it's a well built case, it's quite well priced at the end of the day. Generally when you go below the kind of £80–70 mark, the cases, you can see the quality dipping off real quick. Now, although it's not perfect, and 85 to 90 quid is a lot of money, it is actually really well built. You do get the quality there. All you really need to think about is, does it deliver the features that you're going to be looking for? And let's face it, with a case, you want it to look good as well. And it's not hard on the eye at all. Now, from my point of view, when I look at things like this, I immediately kind of see things that I may want to change, may want to do, or maybe I see another way, which is I see problems and then I go looking for ways to fix them. It's just the way my head kind of works, and I could spend quite a bit more time on this really, going over little bits, but I hope I kind of like have pushed you towards or better ways to put it, let's put it that way. So, would I use it in a rig? Now, if somebody said to me, I want to use it, I wouldn't say no, and generally I would be saying, no, you go and use another case. It's a pretty damn good case. And like I said, it is well priced as well, and I can see a lot of people you know, wanting to use this for their own builds. But with a few little tweaks, which of course there's bound to be reasons why they've not done it, like for argument's sake, the bit in the roof, they've obviously done it that way so it's perfect sizing for the H100. But if they've made a few tweaks to it, then it could have been a really good case for a much wider range of people, because I would have loved to have seen this with a dedicated water loop in it, because it is still quite compact and stuff, and the design really wasn't that far off of being right in the first place. So that's why it's kind of got a silver rather than a gold, but it's definitely a very shiny silver, because like I said, build quality's there. You've got this lovely powder coated externals. Yeah, it does work. It does exactly what it says on the tin, and it doesn't kind of pretend to be something it's not. So it's a very, very good case. So yeah, Corsair Carbide 400R has just achieved a OC3D Silver Award. And I'm going to leave this one here, and yeah, I will be back with another video for you very soon. But for now, at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan out.